Now we will have Mount Sion Primary. Welcome to Alfie, Seth, James and Clay, who are going to tell us about the life of Edmund Rice.
Edmund Rice was born into a farming family under the shadow of penal laws on June 1st, 1762, West Cork, Callan, County Kilkenny, Ireland. He attended the Commercial Academy in Kilkenny for about 2 years after secretly receiving his elementary education at the local hedge school in Callan. Edmund moved to Waterford City in 1779 and became a successful businessman. However, some years later he was devastated following the death of his wife Mary. After a period of reflection, he turned to his special vocation, which was to provide dignity for the poor, especially through education. So as a 40-year-old widower and a successful businessman in Waterford and Ireland's southeast coast, Edmund Rice changed course radically.
Realising the effects deprivation had, especially on the young people of Waterford City, he responded to their needs. He sold off his business interests and started a school for poor boys in a converted stable. He and his assistants lived in some rooms above the makeshift classrooms. In 1802, Edmund was joined by two companions, Thomas Grosvenor and Patrick Finn, and the three began to live a form of community life in rooms over the stable school in New Street. Edmund's sights were set on a fully fledged religious congregation. He took a crucial step towards this end when, in June 1802, he commenced the building of a monastery on an elevated site in a working-class district in Waterford City. Mount Sion was started. The school was again funded out of Edmund's private resources.
All the boys were taught reading, writing, arithmetic, and religion. With the more senior pupils, other useful subjects were added, like bookkeeping, geography, and navigation. The boys received special preparation for First Holy Communion and Confirmation. The boys brought books home to read them to their parents who were unable to read. In this way, their parents received education as well. At Mount Sion, Edmund built a bakehouse and tailor shop. The children in the school were hungry. Their parents were too poor to feed them. On arrival at school, each morning the boys were given freshly baked bread. Besides feeding the boys, Edmund noticed that the children suffered a lot from the cold due to scanty clothing. Tailors were employed to make suits and shirts for the boys.
Edmund and his companions worked and prayed together. They shared a common vision where they combined a semi-monastic life with the hard work of teaching unruly boys under primitive conditions. They were focused on the poor and especially the young. At the time in the 1800s, all of Edmund's educational activities were illegal in the eyes of the British authorities in Ireland. He identified education as the key to survival. Most Irish Catholics were effectively cut off from education and consequently cut off from social and political progress. In the words of eyewitnesses, Edmund's devotion to the Blessed Sacrament was intense. He received Holy Communion very frequently. It was at prayer before the Blessed Sacrament that Edmund got the courage and confidence in God to face all difficulties.